I'm Trinity, and this is TV with Trinity. Welcome or welcome back. It is almost Halloween slash we are in the month of Monstober. If you grew up on Disney Channel like me, so I decided to watch all four zombie movies for the very first time because I had been seeing the clips of them on tour and then the clips of Meg, Milo, Malachi, and Freya doing press for the fourth one. I was just like, you know what? Maybe it's time for me to watch them. So I sat down and watched all four. So let's talk about them. So, like I said, this was my very first time watching all of them. I obviously knew of the movies, but the first one came out in 2018, so I wasn't like really watching Disney Channel like that at the time, but like just know of them. So the first one, I jokingly said to my sister one time that it was about segregation. I did not realize how true that was until I was sitting down to watch it. It was about the integration of zombies into the human society, which is how we are introduced into the story. The zombies are integrating into the human society with the zombies now going to Seabrook High. We get to learn a little bit about how the zombies came to be in the first movie through the Moonstone and a power plant. And at first it was moving a little slow, and I don't think I like really got into it until Someday, which is also a song I knew. I loved it already before I started the movie, specifically the Vivo version that Meg and Milo did before the third one came out. But it was like Someday on, I was like really enjoying the movie. I will say I do like the storybook aspect of it, but some of the songs were a little too like talking to me for me, but I also understand it is a children's movie. They need to be kept engaged, and that's a good way to do it. And like I said, I knew Someday beforehand and was waiting for it in the movie, and I just loved it so much. Zed and Addison truly made this movie for me. I thought they were just so sweet together, all of their moments and little interactions. I just love them so much. I will say they did almost get me. I did not think that Bucky was going to come around at the end because they waited for the very last second compared to like other Disney Channel villains like Sharpay or Uma in Descendants. It's like you can see them coming around earlier versus Bucky. He had a little bit of a moment in Addison's song Stand where you could like see him contemplating, but immediately after that he was like, yeah, no more zombies. And so I did not think that he was going to come around, but I was glad that Zoe was kind of the one to get him to come around. I also thought Zoe was absolutely adorable. That is Zed's little sister in the movie. She was just the cutest thing. I loved her so much. One thing I do wish we could have explored a little bit more, kind of in all the movies, but specifically the first one, was Zed potentially being able to control himself zombieing out, because he was like stopping himself from hurting Bucky in the scene before Stand. But I do wish we could have gotten into that a little bit more. Those are my thoughts on the first movie, and now I want to get into my favorite songs. Obviously, I have said several times, Someday. I absolutely love Someday. I don't know what it is about it, but after I saw the Vivo version of it, I like went and found the actual scene in the movie, and then in watching it, I just love it so much. I love all the reprises that they do of it. It is my absolute favorite song, probably of the franchise in general, but definitely of the first movie. And then some other standouts for me, Addison's Stand, I really enjoyed. I do wish she would have like made a speech along with the song, and taking off her wig for the very first time, but I did really enjoy that moment for her. And then I also really enjoyed Bam. I just thought it was like such a fun song, and like the zombies and Addison kind of like getting to know each other a little bit better, I really enjoyed. Now moving on to Zombies 2. This movie we get the introduction of the werewolves, and they are kind of the indigenous people of Seabrook, if you will. I do wonder how much time had passed in between the first and the second movie, because in the introduction, I think Addison says it's crazy to think that there was ever a time when humans and monsters didn't get along, and I was just like, what do you mean it's crazy to think? Wasn't it like last week? But this, like I said, we get the introduction of the zombies. So it's after summer break. Addison is coming back from cheer camp when Zed is asking her to their version of prom, and they see the werewolves in the forest for a half a second, and they think that Addison is their true alpha, so they come to Seabrook in order to try and get her to find their moonstone, which is how the zombies came to be. And with being introduced to the werewolves, we also get Chandler Kenny's character, Willa. She's kind of the main werewolf in charge of everybody. I love Chandler Kenny. I had watched Pretty Little Liars, Original Sin, and her on Dancing with the Stars, so I was really excited to see her, and I thought she did such a good job in this. I loved her as an addition to the movies. But because of this and everybody being afraid of the werewolves, they put the anti-monster laws back in place, which I was a little confused about because it really only applied to the prom situation because everybody was still in school together. Zed's dad got to keep his job at the construction plant, and then the werewolves came to school and were just doing like normal. So I was a little confused about that, but I guess it was just more of the fact that they wanted to put the pressure on prom. And then it couples in this movie, like I said, Zed and Addison made the first movie for me. So I was kind of sad that they spent majority of this movie apart. While I do understand they both had their character journeys that they were going on, Zed trying to run for president, accepting himself as a monster, and Addison still trying to find her true self and whether or not she is a werewolf. But I just wish we could have had them together a little bit more throughout the movie. And with their separation, it kind of felt like they were trying to set up Addison and Wyatt, but didn't fully follow through with it. Like they had like a few moments where it was like they were looking at each other or in the gym after cheer practice and Zed saw them and he ran off, but they didn't follow. And I say they didn't follow through with it because there wasn't seemingly any romantic intention on Wyatt's side, or he didn't like try to break them up or anything. So if it was supposed to be a little something of them maybe getting together, I don't think they did it well enough for me to potentially root for Zed and Addison to not be together. And then another couple that we got introduced to in this movie was Bree and Vonzo. I thought they were so cute. They're crushed, being nervous around each other. I will say though, it was a little odd because we saw a scene of them holding hands together walking into school, but then they weren't officially together, and then she asked him to prom at prom, which was really sweet, but I was just like confused. I was like, wait, are they together yet? We haven't seen anything else explaining that. But I really love them. I thought they were super cute. And in the end of this movie, we do find out where the Moonstone is, and everybody works together to save it. We also get the fulfillment of the storyline, Zed being able to control his zombieing out, which I did really enjoy. I just wish we could have seen like a practicing of this before him actually doing it, because what if he couldn't and then all of a sudden he's just zombie and there's no way to get him back. But I was really glad to see that they did come back to that storyline after they hinted at it in the first movie. While I did enjoy the second movie, I will say though, I was left with one big question of, if Addison's not the great alpha, who is? Is it Willa's character because she has the song I'm the alpha, I'm the leader, I'm the one to trust? But they didn't ever mention it again. They were like, oh, it's not Addison, but we did find the Moonstone, so it doesn't matter, I guess. I don't know. And then favorite songs, some honorable mentions for me, Like Zombies Do and We Own the Night, I think are both really fun, and I feel like kids would really enjoy them. But my personal favorite was at the end with All for One. I think that was just like a perfect number to get everybody together, and I feel like they had some Teen Beach 2 reminiscent moments, and I really liked that movie, so I really enjoyed that. Now moving on to Zombies 3. This is when we get the introduction of the aliens that have come to Seabrook to find their perfect place to live after their planet has been destroyed. While Zed and Addison are focused on getting into college together, she has already been accepted to Mountain College, and Zed is trying to make strides and be the first monster accepted into college and change things for the rest of the monsters. And our three main zombies, Alan, Aspen, and Elaine. I really enjoyed what they did with Aspen's character. They just used they, them the entire movie, and it didn't have to be a huge discussion. I also really enjoyed the little hint at a romance between Aspen and Willa at the end of the movie. I thought that was really sweet. I really enjoyed this one. I was so glad that we were able to see, or Addison was able to finally find her true self. She had been wondering about it forever, and the moment with her mom finally showing her real hair, I really enjoyed. And like I said, Zed and Addison in this movie are really focused on trying to go to college together, and so we get a college recruit coming to see Zed, but this is after Addison has found out that she is an alien, and something about her alien powers, whenever she touches Zed, he zombies out a little bit and ends up scaring the recruit. I thought this was funny because they're just so excited for each other that they can't stop touching, but it does kind of ruin it in the moment for Zed until we get the second verse or the reprise of Exceptional Zed, and he's like, everybody's exceptional, not just me, and that's why we should be able to come. And so I just really loved that message, and I thought that they pulled it off really well. In this film though, Eliza, Zed's best friend, is away at an internship because the actress was pregnant in real life and was not able to travel, so I love that they were still able to include her in that way, and they gave her something that like showed off her smarts because we got to see those in the first two movies. I also really liked her and Wyatt. I thought that was a cute little addition. And like I've said many times before, I love Zed and Addison, so I was really happy to see that in the end, Seabrook was the alien's perfect place, so she was able to come back and graduate with all of them. And then for favorite songs in the third movie, like I already mentioned, Exceptional Zed, I really loved that. I thought it was such a fun number, but I also loved the evolution of the song, it being Exceptional Zed and to Zed saying that all of the monsters are exceptional. I also really loved Ain't No Doubt About It. I feel like it's a great follow up to Someday for Zed and Addison, and the fact that they're like reassuring themselves that they do want to be together and try and be together forever. I just it warms my heart. And if you watch all three movies, you can assume that they thought the third movie was going to be the last, especially with how 2 and 4 ended. 2 ended, you see the meteor come down, and that is a hint at the aliens for the third movie, but the third movie just ends them going off to college happy, versus in the fourth movie, there's some kind of water tornado or something. But we thought the third movie was going to be the last one until they got their fourth movie, and this is kind of a passing of the torch. We get the introduction of Malachi Barton and Freya Sky's characters, Victor and Nova. They are the vampires and daywalkers for Zombies 4 being the dawn of the vampires. They, similar to Seabrook, had a moonstone that was split. The vampires took one, the daywalkers took one, and in doing that, they unintentionally hurt their orchard. In order to survive, they have to come together and bringing moonstones back together. I really enjoyed this movie. I didn't know how I was going to feel about it with the introduction of so many new characters, but I thought they did such a good job with it, and I feel like Malachi and Freya really do carry this movie like Meg and Milo carried the first three, even though Meg and Milo are still in this one. So like I mentioned, that is the Vampire Daywalker storyline of trying to save their orchard of bloodfruit in order to survive their 2 separate villages. And with our 4 characters that come over from the first 3, Ed, Allison, Willa, and Eliza, they have been at college and they are planning on spending the summer apart because Ed's going to football camp, Addison's going to cheer camp, and they have both really been trying to level up. Addison wants to be cheer captain and Zed wants to stop riding the bench, but they get in a car accident, and because the orchard is dying, it's messing with Zed's Z-band and eventually starts messing with Eliza and Willa as well, and it is expanding and will eventually reach Seabrook. So they decide to be camp counselors for the teen daywalkers and vampires in order to get them to work together to try and save the orchard. I really enjoy this because, like I said, we get to see the 4 of them together. They basically get to be mentors to their younger selves through Victor and Nova, especially because when they finally meet, they have a moment like Zed and Addison did in the first movie where Addison punches Zed. Nova, I think, like flips Victor over, and she says his reflexes like Addison did in the first movie.
Really real. Oof, been there.
Sorry, reflexes.
Yeah.
While we did get mentions of other characters that we met, I did miss that we didn't get to see anybody in Seabrook other than our main 4 that were in this movie. I wish we could have just gotten like a small glimpse of them, but I also really enjoyed meeting all of our new characters. And because it is 2 tribes, the zombies and the daywalkers, we both have a Bucky kind of on both sides. On the Daywalker side, we have Ray, and he is Nova's cousin. He is the one that ends up telling the uncle because he wants to prove himself as a leader, but also does not trust the vampires. We then have Vera on the vampire side, who overhears Ray and Nova talking about taking all of the blood fruit for themselves, but she does not hear the full conversation. She tells the vampire queen, and it gets Victor in trouble, but Victor and Nova still decide to work together. I just think they did such a good job with introducing all of these new characters while still letting us see where our previous characters are. And like I mentioned, Zed's Z-band was messing up because the orchard was dying. It was sending out pulses that were messing with the werewolves and the zombies and was making its way to Seabrook. They were able to save the orchard, which helped Zed and the other zombies and werewolves come back to full power. But with Zed being able to take off his Z-band in the second and third movies, I would have potentially liked to have seen like the zombies don't need their Z-bands anymore because they can control their zombieing out or something along those lines. But I was really glad to see because of this, we got a Sunday reprise, and like I've said 1,000 times already, Sunday is probably my favorite. And at the very end with Zed and Addison, we also got a Ain't No That About It reprise, which again I also loved. And then favorite songs, I actually have a lot of favorite songs from this movie, starting with Dream Come True. Obviously, this is Victor and Nova's Someday. I just think they are so adorable and they did such a good job with this. I also really like Place to Be. This is actually before Dream Come True, but I really enjoyed it. I feel like it's like a good back and forth song, but they also have some kind of Camp Rock 2 moments. If you know the scene that I'm talking about, you probably recognize it as well, but I thought they did a really good job with that. And In My Own Way, this is Nova's song, very similar to Addison's Stand. I just feel like we really got to see the internal battle that she was having about does she trust the vampires and try and make everything work and have the teams work together, or does she do what her dad wants her to do? In their closing song, I feel like they always do a really good job with their closing song. In Zombies 4, it is Together as One, and it's just about everybody coming together, which I feel like all of their ending songs are about, but I really enjoyed this one. Now that we've talked about all four movies, what I liked, what I didn't like, things I wish we could have seen more of, I want to do my final ranking, starting with my fourth favorite because I still do actually love them all, and that is Zombies 2. I did really enjoy this, the addition of Chandler Kenny, like I mentioned, but I will say Zed and Addison spent a little bit too much time apart in this movie for me, so I wish we could have gotten to see them more together, and that's why it's number 4. In third place, we have Zombies 3. I put this in third place, one, because we get more of Zed and Addison together, and we finally get Addison finding her true self with the aliens, which I really enjoyed. Number 2, I have Zombies 4. I really enjoy Zombies 4 more than I thought I was going to, and that's why it's in fourth place. I thought they did such a good job of balancing the old and the new, and I feel like Malachi and Freya did such a good job adding to this movie and the franchise in general, so I'm excited to see if they do get the fifth movie, them continue on. And in first place, obviously, I have the first Zombies. I just think that it's such a good job of introducing you into this world, and this is where it all starts for Zed and Addison. And like I've said, they make these movies for me, so it had to be number 1. Those are my thoughts and rankings on all 4 zombie movies in honor of Monstober and Halloween. Let me know your thoughts, and if you agree with my rankings or feel differently, I want to know your rankings. If you want to follow me anywhere else, my links will be in the descriptions, and I'll see you next time. Bye!